Howdy, I'm Caitlin Bassett and welcome to the Dubya podcast. We're going to be covering off on everything AFLW throughout the season with new episodes out every single Tuesday. But to kick us off in today's show, we're going to chat about, I got the opportunity to go into both clubs, the Eagles and the Dockers, and check out their inner sanctum. We're also going to chat to a couple of my ex-teammates, Brazill and Verity Simmons, as they get ready to kickstart their season. Plus, stick around at the end of the show to hear our predictions and highlights for this year.
Just before we start, I'd like to just butt in a little bit. I think the podcast name's got a lot of people confused. I think with my slight American twang, I'd like to address something in the room. This is not George W. Bush podcast. We have no information on his legislation. We have no idea about his rulings and how he was as a president. Nor do we really care.
Wait, so all of our American listeners just dropping off right now? They're just
on
dropping
here.
your numbers. Oh, well, I mean, if they stick around, they can learn about AFLW, which is, I want to say, one of the fastest growing female sports in Australia at the moment, which is pretty exciting. But I guess to get started, to acknowledge the extra voice in the room, Rosie Deegan, I'm going to start off with this beautiful picture of you. I would love you to explain this one to everyone, all the fans at home, what I'm showing you. And yeah, just give us a bit of a brief outline on how you ended up here today.
Slide it. Wow, look how much the sun was in my eyes. I don't know if the viewers can see it, but that is a hard squint by me there. That's a young 17-year-old me. Fortunately enough, was picked up by Eagles as I think it's like a before the draft pick back in the day when I was good at AFL. And so practically that's me getting signed. Michaela Bowen, she's at Geelong now. She's left the West. Didn't like it. No, I'm kidding. But so that was me before I made the decision, unfortunately, to pick the wrong sport and the American sport.
Yeah,
to our
so
American listeners.
You were the OG Eagle, like you said. In 2019, the opportunity came up for you to sign as the expansion player for the Eagles, but then you opted to head to America to play college basketball instead. So you haven't played a game for West Coast, but technically you are owned by them if you decide to come back and play AFLW. Is that correct?
Owned. They have my ownership. Yeah. So I think so. I think it'd have to go, if I decide to go back into AFL, there'd be talks about it. But I think they've at least definitely bought my loyalty. I mean, they stuck by a little 17-year-old me as I took off to America, and they've always been in contact and we've been in good relations. But I unfortunately chose college basketball for some absurd reason. After this podcast, I would have done more AFLW podcasts.
Really?
Than AFLW games and or seasons.
Well, tell us about the reason why you chose basketball and where have you been for the last 3 years, I guess?
I just chose basketball because at the time it was the first season of AFLW. You don't really know what it's going to look like. And with college basketball, if I didn't go then, you lose it. So if in AFLW it was relatively, the game was growing, like, I can see where this game's going to go and come back to it, hopefully. But college basketball, I didn't go that season. I was pretty much done in, and I wouldn't get that opportunity again. And that's school fully paid for, and that's American college basketball, which is a big deal to them and a big deal to me. So I just went there, thought it was the right decision at the time. I like basketball. It's a very fun game. Not as fun as AFLW, I will say.
I was about to say, growing up, was Erin Phillips an idol of yours? She was also a cross-coder?
Mate, I thought I was going to be the next Erin Phillips until I was insanely humbled that elite sport for women is too advanced now for me to do two at once. I was growing up like 15 being like, I've got this. I was like going to footy and then I was going to basketball. And I was like, I've multitasked this so well. And then someone's like, I remember my basketball coach being like, nah, pick. And I was like this, what do you mean? These seasons align perfectly for me? Like, no, like you can't do that. I was like, all right, well.
Because we are seeing a lot of cross-coders now in AFLW, and it is getting to the stage where it's becoming so professional that it's going to get to the stage where players are going to have to choose it. I mean, if I think of Georgie Cleaver at the West Coast Eagles, she's an elite netballer as well at the moment. She's away in Fiji playing in a tournament. She's going to come back for their first game. Like, it does get really hard. And tell us about the toll it takes on your body.
Yeah, I think particularly with AFLW, it's like footy is a different type of physicality on your body. I think with basketball, like in college, I was playing 3 games a week. And we were doing that for 7 months. And that's a lot as it is. And your body gets worn, and like mentally you get really worn down. But with footy, like you couldn't go 2 times a week. Like you're almost in recovery from the game. Like, the physicality is just a whole different level. And the bumps and knocks and bruises, if you're not injured, you're carrying some, like, little, like, niggle down the line just because of the physicality of the game. And I think if you were trying to do both, you'd really struggle. It's particularly just getting that kind of movement. Like, you're running so much in footy. Like, the kilometres they cover. Like, in basketball and in netball, you get this.
Yeah, it is. It's the change of direction. It's the explosive speed. In saying that, though, you've done your ACL playing basketball in January. How is rehab going for you?
No, it's fine. I was in America and they were always like, oh, you made the right decision. Like, AFLW, ACL tear rates are, like, through the roof. And I was like this, yeah, guys, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm far better than anyone. Like, my knees are stable. And I've just done a basic layup and just torn every single thing in my entire knee in, like, a basic game. That was the second ACL in that one game for our team.
Yeah, right. So you're back here, you're in Perth at the moment, you're rehabbing, you're getting around the AFLW because you've got so many friends that are playing, don't you?
So all the mates I grew up with are now just in AFLW and they're killing it. And so I'm pretty highly connected in there just as a fan. So the opportunity to come up and co-host something like this and really get the word out and trying to get, like, more casual listeners involved in AFLW because it's such a cool and developing game. Like, I was just showing my American boyfriend AFL and he was, like, perplexed. And I was like, it is an insane game and the pace of it is just so enjoyable to watch. I just reckon if we can get more women to kind of get behind these girls, like, they'll see, like, it's not like it was. I think, you know, they're going to talk about it in the interview later, but it's not the game it was in season 1. Like, season 1, you did have a lot of cross-coders. You had, like, javelin players. They were getting any athlete who would pick up a footy. Now you're getting girls who have been playing since they were 12, even, like, younger. Like, this is, like, a brand of footy that they've been growing up with. Like, this game is completely different.
And I guess now we're seeing the transition from elite players into elite coaching, and I guess that kind of leads us into our first main topic because through my work in the West Australian, I've had the opportunity to go out and get some behind the scenes, lowdown privilege, visiting both teams and going into Fremantle Dockers and the West Coast Eagles. They're both completely different clubs. And I guess to kick off, I'll start with Eagles because I think having Daisy Pearce come over to the West has been huge, and it's made a statement that West Coast care about their female program and they really want them to play well. But if you're a player and you're playing under Daisy, how much inspiration is she going to give you knowing that she's been out there and she's done it before?
I grew up seeing Daisy kind of be like a trailblazer. And she was always the one in the media. She was really always pushing the identity of footy. So for those girls, Eagles are a really young team. So they're just like me. They've grown up seeing Daisy kind of like lead the way and be a pioneer for the sport. So I think to be then coached by her, like, she's been around footy. Like, she understands strategy. The game, and it's just like in basketball and it's just like in any sport, like, female game is going to be different to the male game. There's different coaching, there's different things, there's different, like, player connection that you need, that women need, that men necessarily don't. And I think her having been there she knows exactly what she wanted from her coaches and probably didn't get at the time. And also then she's been there. So the respect that garners from your players and, like, the inspiration that is, like, to have, like, a leader that you know has been there and done that. And also is super talented. Like, she's a talented footballer in her own right.
Yeah, I think that's what I've loved is that she almost has this aura around her. Like, she walks into the room and everyone, like, some of the Eagles girls fangirl over her still. Like, Absolutely. They talk about growing up with posters on their wall, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But she wants to get out there and she wants to get her hand dirty. She ran the 2K time trial with the girls. Like, she's probably still fit enough to get out there and play if she wanted to. But what a great opportunity and a great challenge for her at the West Coast Eagles, because this is her first coaching or senior coaching role. And I think it was put to her at the start, you know, are you feeling a lot of pressure to turn the team around? And her response actually surprised me. She said, well, why wouldn't I want to go into a team that wants to develop, as I'm a developing coach as well? And she totally brings that mindset that she's here to learn. The girls are fully behind her. It's all about having the courage to get out there and try new things. And I've really enjoyed that. And I've heard a lot of players talk about how encouraging she is about them taking risks, but also how she wants them to be unconditionally competitive. Yeah. And regardless of what the scoreboard is, whether they're down, whether they're up, she just wants them to keep competing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's just the thing with, like, young players as well. Like, a lot of the transition into professional sport is confidence. Like, it's such a big thing. Like, you've got talented players. Like, the youth are getting so much more talented in sport. But it is the confidence to compete against, like, the older generations. Like, I remember just getting waxed continuously by older basketball and footy players because they just had more confidence in me. And I was an arrogant little kid, so I can't imagine like other people like with that transition. But you have a coach who's saying like take risks. Like I'm not going to punish you for taking risks or like trying different things in the game. Like that empowers the players in just like a different way that I think is going to get a lot better results than that kind of like negative like really structured footy when you've got young kids coming into the game. Like you just want to inspire them and like give them confidence to play. Like they're great football players. They got drafted for a reason. They've got good IQ. Like let them play. Like that's what you see with like in the men's game right now with Hawthorn. Like they're just letting the boys run, and that's a youthful team of like I love the narrative of them being all like kind of like rejects. Like went from their different clubs and now formed this insane culture. But it's the thing of like Sam Mitchell's like empowered them, and they're unstoppable. Like you give some young kids a bit of confidence, everyone knows it's a bit dangerous. So
well, we talk about confidence, and I guess going into Fremantle, it was a completely different vibe, and they've had an experienced team for a little while now, but they've brought in the likes of an Ash Brazill, who we'll get to hear from soon, a Gabby Newton, experienced players who I guess have been there and done that and come in with their confidence. And the spread of leadership that they've got across their team is pretty incredible, especially given the fact that Ange Stannard, their captain, will not be playing this season.
Yeah.
She's got the ACL injury, but
they're everywhere.
I know, right? ACLs in AFLW, it's nuts. But I think for me, coming into the Fremantle environment, it was... it's this really family vibe and how they can help each individual member be the best that they can be off the field, because they know that when they're happy off the field, when they come into the club, they're going to bring their best selves. Have you felt that at a club before?
Yeah, we had. Well, I've always just been in young clubs though, so the family vibe has always been there. Like in America, they love the family, they love building it like that. But I think, unfortunately, and this wasn't so true with my team, but in America, the college system is very much use and abuse. Like, you got players for 4 years. We're going to get the best out of you that we want from you, and there's not much player development. But what you see in, like, which is really nice in Eagles or in Freo, like, they do care about their players. And I think in professional sports, that gets difficult because at the end of the day, it is your job. So you're allowed to get criticised on your job. You're allowed to, like, if I was a builder and I was terrible at building, I hope someone will be like, well, you're not very good, are you? So I feel like it's the same thing, but I think in at least Freo and Eagles, there's a care for the player outside. Where I think that's a rarity in professional sport.
Yeah, I think it's great because Lisa Webb has 2 young boys herself.
Yeah, exactly.
Ash Brazill coming in, she talked about how important it was for her family to be involved in the club. And even if you're a younger player at a club, but you get the opportunity to go out on the field with someone who is older and experienced, and they can give you that confidence. It's almost like having a coach out there on the field.
You have
with
coaches built in. Yeah, it's just it's interesting the difference between Eagles and Freo's setup, and not saying one's better than the other, but Freo is that. You've got the young pups still, right? But you've got these senior leaders, and you've got so many of them that are almost like mother figures to these people coming up. And so it's just a completely different team dynamic that you kind of have this built-in, like, I have like a coach on the field that I can refer to.
Yeah, and I think that was definitely the aim behind their recruiting strategy, was bringing in the right people for their club. And it wasn't necessarily about who, could kick the most goals like they obviously wanted great players as well, but they wanted the right personality that would kind of align with their club. And I think they've done a really great job in the players that they've brought in this season. But the most exciting thing for me when I got to go down to Freo was they gifted me a kit, and I got some boots thanks to ASICS, and I got to get out there on the field. And I've got questions for you because, look, you guys make it look so easy. The girls make it look so easy, and I can categorically say it is not easy kicking a football.
I just think it's the pure height you're dropping the ball from. I think it's just the length and the amount that the ball is falling to the ground.
Well, it takes a long time for the message to go from the brain all the way down
to get the leg swing back. Guys, we're gonna direct you if you're online and you're on our YouTube, you can see it on there. But I'm gonna describe it to the viewers who are just reading. We've just got some footage coming up. An elite ruck tap, I'll give you that much. And just Well, look at the follow-up though. Yeah. So what we have there, guys, for the listeners, is a great ruck tap.
Thanks.
And some would argue a hardball get. It was uncontested, but I'd argue a hardball get. And then what we have, though, is this difficult kind of drop of the pure height of you to your foot to connect the ball. And what happens is it's just come off the side a little bit.
See, that's the thing with netball. When the ball hits the ground, it bounces uniformly. Like, it's a round ball. The footy ball, when it hits the ground, it could go absolutely anywhere. Also, for me, as a shooter, if I miss a goal, like that's it. You don't get any second chances,
You're
especially
out
in
the
training.
game.
It's
You're
like you
getting out
get
the
one
game.
shot, that's it. Whereas when I miskicked that ball, the girls were like, go again. And I was a bit like, what? Oh, okay.
I think that ball
So-
genuinely probably only went 3 meters. I like as well the go again is like you had the cartoon like little like reverse step just to get into gear to go
I was
forward.
so embarrassed, but it was the best experience ever. And getting down there and I guess being out there on the field with the girls, it's such a fun game.
Yeah.
It makes me miss being an elite athlete because
Yeah.
I miss that vibe of being in an environment where everyone cares for one another, everyone gets around one another, everyone wants the best for one another because you do that because that's going to help get the best out of them and then that's going to help you be successful as a team.
Yeah, especially like footy when it's such a big squad. So you have so many people. It's such an inclusive and like almost like family environment. There's so many people on the field. And then like what I found when I was doing footy is, I mean, Braz might talk about it later, but it's just that you're waiting in line because there's a lot of people. It's not like netball or basketball. You've done one rep and then, oh my gosh, you've only got 3 people else in the team.
gotta go again.
You got to go again. It's
Yeah.
like I'm just in the line. Just, how's your weekend?
Just
What are
kicking
you
back.
doing?
So what are you saying? You don't sweat when you play AFLW? Is that
No,
what
I
you're
just
telling me?
there's just more breaks.
Okay.
There's just more opportunities in the kicking line.
Yeah,
I'd
right.
say,
Yeah.
for me to get locked in and really execute my next skill is what I'm usually doing because I don't like to chit chat. I'm pretty serious when I'm out there.
Fair enough.
you
Well,
know.
we've teased it a couple of times already. Let's get to the main meat of today's episode. To kick off today, we're lucky enough to have a former player or former teammate of mine. I think we identified with the players who were closest to us, which is the Crosscode Guns. We've got Ash Brazill from the Fremantle Dockers and Verity Simmons from the West Coast Eagles. And I think the great thing about them is they both moved over from New South Wales in 2012 to play for the West Coast Fever. Braz is captain the Fever. She then moved back to Collingwood and played Suncorp Super Netball there and then decided to pick up AFLW because, why not? Why not
Because
juggle
she's
two
that
sports at
talented,
once?
she could.
Exactly. So she's gone and done that. Both have represented Australia. Braz has won Com Games gold medal and announced her retirement recently before winning a World Cup gold medal. And then really randomly here in WA, as a search for a new challenge, Verity Simmons announced her retirement. So she was signed with the West Coast Fever, decided she'd had enough, and she was quickly snapped up by the West Coast Eagles on a rookie contract. So this will be her first season. Meanwhile, Freo found out that Braz was keen to move back here west with her family, and they immediately contacted her to secure her services. So now, 12 years later, since they first arrived here in WA, the pair are going to be going back to back. They're going to be squaring up as arch rivals, and we're super stoked to have them on our episode this week. So much happy chats already happening in the studio, but let's kick off. I want to know, cross-coders, what is harder, netball pre-season or football pre-season? Because you've both actually done one now. Braz, you've done your first footy pre-season, and Vez, you've done your first one. So what's harder?
Footy. Oh, no, netball for me.
Why is that?
Hands down. I feel like, well, you said footy, so it could be, completely different. But for me, I just feel like netball in a team of 10, you can't hide. And it's just I know the court's 30 metres, but so it's sprint after sprint after sprint after sprint. I just think it's relentless. And, obviously football brings a physicality, but for me, it's just and I don't know if it's being a mid-quarter, Bassi being a goaler, but I just feel like you can't hide and there's no stop button.
Yeah, I agree. I think the explosive movement is the most tiring thing out of netball whatsoever, and that's what you're just doing all pre-season.
I love that though. Like I throw off of that. I think Nettie for sure is like, I don't know, the short, sharp explosiveness, 100%. But I think just for me personally, on like a footy level, I got no idea what I was doing. And it was just constantly like, oh, what am I have to do? What do I do? What's this drill? Where are we at? So my head's just thinking. I found that really fatiguing this year. And the Ks you rack up. Like the Ks in a session is ridiculous compared to Nettie. I couldn't get over it. So I think just body kind of getting used to that. Also getting like the physicality of getting hit and get back up and go again, where like that doesn't happen in Nettie. It's just like you keep moving, short sharps.
Yeah, 2K time trial. How'd that go?
Ooh,
Didn't do it. Throw the old card out.
See, that's why
Over
footy
30s.
pre-season's not as bad. You didn't try the 2K.
No, I actually, so when I got back from our 7 months of travel around Australia, I think it was a week or two, and then that's when the girls did the time trial. So for us, for me, they were like, okay, you're still netty fit. So I did my time trial was like 2Ks over 150 metre sprints.
Oh, good.
So yeah, it was I think I might have preferred just a 2K run rather than sprinting.
I was like, how do I do it? Like, I felt like I was like one of those puppy dogs just following the girls. I was like, do we like pace? Do we run? Like, how do we, like, I just tried to keep up. Yeah.
Well, because fitness testing in the past, you've done yo-yo and beep, which is all the short, sharp stuff, but the 2K is something completely different for us netties, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, at the Pies, when Shani Layton did it for the first time, I remember she took off and you do 5 laps of the Collingwood Footy Oval. And her first 2 laps, I was like, holy crap. Like, she's gone from goalkeeper to elite runner. And she was first by like half a lap. And I reckon she came dead last.
See, that was my fear. I was like, stay in gear.
But you just got to stay in the middle, honestly.
Yeah. I was just trying to keep
Don't try to
behind.
be a hero.
Yeah.
Don't try to lead the pack.
Actually, I picked Swanee and was like, I'm going to stick with her and be my runner.
Don't hook her? No.
Yeah, no. Even
Don't
her
hook
pregnant, she's just lapping it. I think she had 12Ks the other day just because.
No, she made
crazy.
me do pre-season with her when I was younger. Insane.
Yeah.
I was like 17 as well, so she was like lapping me.
Oh, girl, I learned that on the first day. Her even being pregnant, I was like, no.
No, it's ridiculous. It's unfathomable.
If you're from Port Hedland, there's a good chance you know someone who plays for the Hedland Blazers. The Blazers are Hedland's first women's footy team, and with the support from the local senior league club, there are now opportunities to accommodate girls from 6 all the way up to 45 years old. Clubs like the Blazers help build resilience, self-esteem, healthy lifestyles and create lifetime friendships, which is why BHP is proud to support them. A place in the team for everyone. To the girls of the Hedland Blazers, that's big. Question, you both come from netball, you're now both playing AFLW, which I think is awesome, but different reasons why you've made the switch. Fez, why have you made the move?
Oh, I just, it was in that period of the kind of 6 months of unpaid with Nettie. And was kind of struggling, I think, mentally with that. Was like, what are we doing? And was always, I don't know, week in, week out, we're like, yep, it's going to get fixed, and it didn't. So I was just kind of searching on what we need to do, and it probably helped my decision that I just wasn't loving it, and I wasn't excited to get back to pre-season. And I've always frothed pre-season, like literally chomp at the bit, can't wait to get there. And I think that was a big issue for me to not be in that state, and was like, okay, I need to recognise this and see what's going on. And got to a point where I just was like, you know what? I'm not going to take this contract. Went and sat with Dan and Gordy and explained the situation. Said I'm really sorry, and didn't have football insights at all. And the next day, footy kind of came to the door. So the opportunity came, and that's where I kind of went. But it was just more the mental state that I was in, that I just wasn't loving what I was doing, and life's too short to not love what you're doing.
Braz, you were grinning like an idiot during that answer. What have you got to add to that?
Oh, no, I just, there's still a child saying she froths things.
I was going to say the Australianism's coming out.
Well, our show is called Dubya. So
We are completely different people, because I do not froth a pre-season.
I love it.
Well, Braz, tell us about the move. Like, you were playing at the Pies, you must have been pretty happy there. Why come back to WA?
Oh, for us, we moved left Fever to play for Collingwood, and in our minds, mine and Brooke, my wife, it was a 2-year plan. So move across, play some netty, try and crack into that Diamonds team. 8 years later, still in Melbourne, lived through the lockdown, and 2 babies with no family support. We just got to that point where I think anyone that lived in Melbourne over lockdown, you quickly realise like how important family is, and for us, and especially Brooke, not knowing when we'd see the family in WA with all the lockdowns. I think they saw Louis, Brooke's mum and dad saw Louis when he was first born, and then the second time they saw him, he was 11 months.
Right.
So it was a big thing. That was just a no-brainer. I achieved what I wanted to achieve in netball, went out on a high, and just packed up, and both mum and dad have moved over from Sydney as well. So, the whole gang's here now.
Love it.
I mean, it's prime time. That's the best place to be.
It is. I keep telling
I
people
lived in
this.
Canberra, so I think that's...
We also lived in Canberra.
Well, I was about to say, tell us about your relationship and how you guys got to know each other, because you've played for a number of netball teams. You've also been at the AIS together. What else?
We were young when we first met. Hey, like, what were we in?
Well, I knew Vez. Vez is a couple of years younger than me, but I got to see Vez go through New South Wales netball unders, like nationals and all of that kind of thing. So knew each other from probably afar, but we both went to the AIS at different years, but then moved to Fever at the same year, and that was an experience.
Our house was wild. That's Scarborough House.
Wait, so you guys lived at the AIS?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah?
Yeah, not a great place.
Oh,
I actually loved it. I'm not going to lie.
Wait, how old were you guys when you were there?
18.
yeah.
So I was like I was 16.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
No, going
Were you
out
doing
partying.
school
Yeah.
there?
Oh yeah.
Same.
But they were like
geez.
they had like cameras on
yeah.
us. You know, the classic.
We had that, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why he's around.
Yeah, absolutely. But we got our
Trenchy, the trench.
Yeah. This is a lot of hooded people coming back really after.
Everybody get
curfew.
in.
Yeah. But the thing with basketball, you got like a 7-foot like NBA academy recruit who's just obviously sticking out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And then these like little girls with hoodies on, like everyone's like, we've got him here.
You're going to need a few trenchies, girl.
Yeah. Look, if I'd known you guys before, I would have sought better advice.
Yeah, we had it hooked up at the tube. We had a ladder out the back,
No,
so we
no.
could jump fences.
No.
Yeah, it was so good. An old mattress to land on.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we were set up.
See,
Yeah.
we had a guy get injured because he tried to balcony jump to just get out.
I
You
know,
need
we
the
were
rope ladder.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had.
See, the netballers are exhibiting better IQ than the basketballers, unfortunately.
I think you guys passed the ladder down to us.
We did. I feel like we got passed down to us, so just passing on the love.
I feel like you guys are both in new teams this year. You've got some history. You talked about living together in Scarborough, but I want to know, do you have any dirt to dish on one another that maybe your new teammates might not know? So like Bez, is there anything Braz's new teammates might not know about her? And vice versa. Braz, is there anything that Vez's new teammates might need to know about her? Because I was shocked, absolutely blown away at the Eagles jumper presentation when they said, who's the bougiest player in the team? And Verity's name came up. And I was like, Verity that I know is not bougie. So this
the one who
confused me.
uses froth. In
Yes,
sentences.
yes.
But I think maybe coming from
Make it till
Nettie.
you make it, bro.
New identity.
No, I think the bouginess comes from my diabetic handbag. I've got like this little Gucci bag that I take around, and Days like pulled this. I like had it. Yeah,
Gucci diabetic.
Is it proper Gucci?
yeah, and like
Farley beauty.
and Days like pulled it. Like, and she's like, "Oh my god, like you're such a Nettie player coming into with a handbag to training." And I was like, "Oh no, Days, like I'm diabetic, all my stuff." So I think everyone just like I just have this bag all the time. So I think that's where the bouginess comes from. I'm actually not that bougie as
About Gucci. That's a solid investment for a man.
you got a like long-term investment for that stuff.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Always going to be diabetic. So
So you might as well get a
Yeah.
Gucci bag. Absolutely.
Anything, any dirt on Braz? Like, she used to have dreadlocks. I remember Braz was
Yeah.
the biggest bogan going around.
I
back in
love
the
the
day.
dreadies. I used to like, yeah, you're a hippie. I used to dye them for you. Remember we'd get the hair
Yeah, we get
packets? and I'd
bored
just-
one week,
yeah.
and then next minute they're a different colour. And
Yeah, like I was like, I can't give dirt because I was with her for everything.
You were aiding her in all the dirt. Yeah.
Literally.
yeah, all the stories. I think I look back at the times we lived together, and it was, yeah. There's nothing that I could say about this because I was always beside her. But I think one of the a few stories is like when we moved over, we both moved over with the suitcase. We didn't have any furniture, and so I remember we moved into Scarborough, and it was curbside pickup week. And that was we went shopping. I remember it was like 40 degrees or 42 or something ridiculous, and we were literally just in like
Little bra and
yeah,
shorts.
sports bra and like
Lurk in the
fever
streets.
shorts, and we found this like round table, and it was I reckon it was like 180 centimetres diameter. It was massive. It was taller than us on its side.
Like a dining table.
It was a few kilometres away.
For free.
We parked the car and we rolled it the whole way home. And then we started picking up just random chairs. So we had chairs when family came over.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a pretty expensive household we lived in, and Bez is bougie, so she's got the Gucci. She's
The
done well.
Gucci bag on the stolen table.
Yeah,
Very good, yeah.
and I think I had a mattress on the floor for my bedside table. Remember, I just used a cardboard box and put a towel over it. I was like, yes,
That is adorable.
netball pay packet. So
I'm really
Well, we
keen.
moved over on like $11,000 or something.
Well, tell us about the difference, I guess, playing elite netball and going through the changes as that's gone through. Tell us about footy and where that's at the moment.
yeah, I think mum was 18,000 when I signed at Fever for that first year. Yeah,
Mine was $50, so you're beating me, but anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely like netball's like from where it started to where it is now. I think it's unbelievable. And I look at my career when I started at the Swifts, and I think minimum was 9,000. And I lived 2 hours from training, so all mine went to petrol. And then obviously it's gone up amazing. But I think wouldn't have done that without the push of women's sport in general. And I think footy has probably been the biggest push in Australia. And I think netball at the start was like, what is this sport? But to now, for me, looking at where netball is, to have these other sports push netball, I think it's just scary for netball, because if netball doesn't keep up, then it's where will our game go? And it's a game that I love, and I want it to go far. But to see where footy's come in 8 seasons, like, blows my mind. I remember I came into it season 2, but season 1 I remember going to the opening game, Collingwood versus Carlton, and it be a lockout. And it was the first time, I reckon, in my life that I was jealous of other athletes, because I was like, we train every single day. We're the best in the world, being the Australian Diamonds, and I can't even get into this venue. We had to call up the Carlton CEO to get us in, our netball Collingwood team, because Collingwood couldn't even get us in. And I remember just like looking around thinking, this is what I want to do. And I'd played footy before, and I knew I had the skill set, but it was just like, how these girls don't even realise how lucky they are, because their first game is a sellout. So, yeah, and then now where we are now, the fact in, I think it's 2027, the minimum wage is going to be like 70 or 80 grand is just unheard of and unbelievable. And so it should be, because you've seen the growth in, I remember our first season of AFLW and being the netball, looking across thinking, these girls aren't athletes. And the netballers were dirty. And I was dirty, 100%. But to see where they are now and, they are athletes. What they can lift in the gym. I remember watching the girls first year trying to even lift a bar to now. We've got players in our team benching 1.5 their body weight. So it's crazy to see where it's come. And you're probably just busy coming in year 1, seeing something for the first time. You wouldn't even question them being athletes.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I remember watching the first season of AFLW and was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And to see now, you're exactly right, 8 seasons in and where the sport has grown and where it's heading is just, it's exciting. And I think that's what excited me so much to kind of get into footy was this sport is on the move, it's on the fly, it's just going up and up, and the opportunities that come out of it. Being at Eagles headquarters and walking in every day, I was like, wow, this is amazing. The setup they've got, definitely different to Fever. Although I've loved the Fever time, and actually went back to a Fever game just before finals and sat in the crowd, just a normal reg, just there cheering on the Green Army. And I thought, wow, I walked away from this because how incredible is it? It was a sellout game and so many people just around women's sport and getting involved. I think it's so special, and to be in this time of our lives where women's sport is making huge dents, it's just an exciting opportunity. I'm loving it. I love every second of sport, and I love that women's sport is just where it's at now.
What have you found you could transfer over from netball into footy? How is the culture different? Is there skills and things like that you're like, oh, yep, cool, I've done this before, this is great, or the hell, this is completely different to what I'm used to?
Yeah, what about tackling? How's that going? Coming from netball, no contact, right?
Yeah, tackling's tough. I'm working on it. And then I think just being physical off the ball. I think I was walking around to a stoppage and someone just walked up and hit me and I was like, whoa, what was that for? I wasn't expecting it, and I still forget that you can do that. That's what footy is. So I'm still wrapping my head around that side of things. But I think just the footwork, roll off hands and things, and just the vision that netball kind of transfers over to, it's footy on a very smaller scale in a kind of way, I think. I mean, players do the same, some of the plays and setups. I was like, this is netty. Or when we do a drill, I was like, can you just describe it in netball terms for me and I'll understand. So that's kind of
through the ball. Yeah. The X. Well, zones happen in netball, zones happen in football, quite similar, that transfer, hey?
Yeah, exactly. So just on a huge scale. I was actually saying to Bass before, doing a zone in footy compared to netball, it's just, it's so much harder because you've got so much ground to cover and to travel.
So much more space.
Yeah. And you just get exposed so quickly. But I think too, it's holding yourself accountable, because I think what you said before, Brazzy, is that in netty, there's 10 players in a team, so you get exposed very quickly if your work rate's not there. But in footy, you can almost slide through the cracks a little bit. So I think it's you've actually got to know your standard and push yourself individually and want to take that push. So that's kind of been my, I guess that's always in the back of my mind is work rate up. To not slide through those cracks, because it's easy to get invisible, I think.
Now, for me, I was lucky enough to go into the Dockers last week and have a run around and play, and I got to sit in on Oppo analysis. So we thought today we'd do a little bit of Oppo analysis with you guys and get to learn how well do you know your opposition? And you guys are going to be playing each other in the derby later on this year, but these are true or false questions. We've got a couple of questions for each of you, and
50%.
You will get marks. I hope my coaches
There's probabilities in your favour here.
I need that. Yeah. So we'll bounce between the two of you and see who can get the most points. Are you ready? First up,
friendship test.
Vez.
Yes.
Braz is a left footer. True or false?
False.
She's a lefty.
Good start.
Flying
I feel
colours.
like you're antidextrous.
Oh, I'm not.
Hello.
Okay, Braz. Bez wears the number 7 jersey. True or false?
True.
Row.
What number do you wear, Bez?
12.
Closer.
Way up.
Right there.
It seemed wrong.
Similar.
Bez. Braz has kicked 10 career goals. True or false?
I'm a halfback.
False.
I've got no idea.
You kicked 4. Correct. Ding.
I've had a lot of shots at goals. I reckon
You
I've
did
got
the sound.
Oh, I'll do the sound effects.
I was
no worries.
21 pointers.
I was like, nah, she got more.
Braz, Vez has bright blue boots to match her uniform this season. True or false?
Remember, she is a bougie queen.
Yeah, no,
That feels.
What colour did you say?
What colour did you say? Pink?
There you go.
She knows.
Vez, this is Braz's first official AFL preseason.
I want to... Yeah, true. Yeah.
Hey.
Because of Nettie and stuff. Yeah.
Great.
And Braz doesn't
I'd
love
always come back with 2 weeks and I was like, this is amazing.
You were so stoked.
Braz, Vez plays for Claremont in Waffle W. True or false?
True.
I played for CB Lions.
I was like, I think she even played.
two games, I
She
think.
plays for
but
the
it
Eagles
counts.
Bass.
I know that.
There you
Waffle
go.
W. All right.
That's a hard one.
This,
I don't know any of these.
Okay, all right. We got one more question each. Braz, Vez has never kicked a goal. True or false in AFLW?
Well, false because she hasn't played yet.
Well, in Waffle W as well. But yeah, I'll give you that one.
Easy.
Trick question.
Nailed it.
Last one. There's Braz is going to wear the same number that she did at Collingwood this season.
True.
False, but I've been trying to get my number 10 back. But Anya will not give it to me.
Do you like how confident I went? I was like, yes.
Look, it's a tiebreaker. You guys are both equal at the end of the day. You got
That's
2
terrible.
questions right each. So, look, I'm going to say at the moment, equal pegging, and I can't wait to see you guys get out there and go
the
head to head in the Derby.
Yeah.
I know, right? You'll have
Derby here or Derby?
Derby.
Derby.
It's a Derby.
Derby?
Derby.
Is Derby like, that sounds like racehorses.
Derby.
Yeah, it is. It's a big thing.
Derby.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Disgusting Victorian.
Thank you so much for
There you
joining
go.
us,
No,
guys.
thanks for
Good
having
luck
us.
for the season. We
Go
look
for
forward
it.
to seeing you make and break tackles, practicing your don't argues at training, aren't you? Beth?
Yeah, got it.
Just dodge around them, mate. It's netball. I don't know why we have to run through them. It's so silly. Just
Don't
dodge.
touch my hair.
Yeah. Gucci bag. Just kick the shoulder.
Diabetic.
Yeah.
I'll just let him know.
Gucci from now on.
Back it.
Love it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Okay, well, now it's time for the toughest part of the season. It's pre-season predictions. Who do you think is going to win the flag this season, Rosie?
I'm glad they've asked our opinion because I think our opinion means a lot in this.
So much,
really.
so much.
2 cross-coders, really good. I'm doing a really unpopular one. I don't think many people would have picked them. Just the Kangaroos.
just the Kangaroos.
Just
Any
the
reason
people
behind
who-
that choice?
Well, I do my research. I saw more knowledgeable people than me pick the Kangas. And then I'll give my own take though. They want it. They saw it. They didn't get it. Great squad coming back around. I feel like they're more driven. I don't want Brisbane to win again.
Why not? What have you got against?
There's nothing personal. I just don't like seeing a team too successful. if that's a okay thing. Like it's when Golden State Warriors were just doing too much.
Yeah, right.
It's just like that's enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Spread
Just
the
jealous.
wealth.
Spread the love. Okay, well, I will back the Lions then because
Oh, okay.
I believe once you've won once, you know how to win again, and it kind of just helps you get there. Also, Bree Conan, captain of the Brisbane Lions, she's the sister of one of my former teammates, Cara Conan. So, do you know what? I reckon they've done enough to get
Loyalty.
the flag, yes. What about BNF? Who's going to be the best and fairest player?
I've got 2 picks. I've got a pick that I think, more people would have picked. So I've got Ebony Marinov. Stud. I think the Crows are going to have a great season, and I think she's going to be kind of leading that. I think she's a great ball getter. I think she's a great footy player. So I think she's up for a good season. But I'm also backing my girl Bella Lewis.
Ooh, okay.
Great ball getter.
Yep.
I think in a new system with Daisy, she wins it really well. She's got great use of the ball. She's got great foot skills. and I like her as a person. So,
there you go. That's the most important thing.
Not to be 100%
Best and
biased.
fairest person.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think as well sometimes, and this is no disrespect whatsoever, but when you're playing in a really successful team, other people still vote off you.
Yeah, that's
when
one
you're
thing.
playing in a lower ranked team, you're the superstar. You really stand out. You pull a lot of votes, don't you?
That's like the classic. You know, you never want to be in too good of a team if you're going for the big accolades because you're never going to get them.
Fair enough. Well, I'll tip a Kangaroos player. I'm going to say that Jasmine Garner is going to be the BNF.
Yeah.
You know, Monconti last year, she was absolutely incredible. But this year, the AFLW captains have spoken and
You're just listening to wisdom.
Well, look, I go to the source. Like, someone who knows the game really well would be the captains, and they have tipped Jasmine Garner. So, you know, she was the first ever player to kick a goal. She opened the account for AFLW. She kicked a goal when she was playing for Collingwood back in the day.
She's almost deserving of just
Why
a best and
not?
fairest
I
for
feel
that.
like, you know,
just the story.
if the Kangaroos are going to win a premiership this season, it's going to have to be off the back of a huge season from her, so that'll give her a BNF.
right.
Happy with that? What about breakout star then?
See, my break. I'm sticking with Eagles, and I think there might be a bias.
I was about to say, are you just going to pick some more of your mates?
I'm just continuously picking my. No, well, I'm sticking with Eagles because, as you said,
Yes.
in a developing team.
Yes.
What am I talking about? There's a lot of spotlight on that.
We just talked about how influential Daisy's going to be.
And I'm just thinking they're great draft picks. So I know your one, but I'm going to say my one first. Total of 6 games. Abigail Bushby. That's who I'm going for.
Okay.
She's had a total of 6 games, but she's still a rising star.
Yep.
She still counts.
Yep.
She still counts.
She kicked a goal in their preseason game against Fremantle, so that was
There
pretty
you go.
good. Yeah.
But I just think she's in for a bigger season under Daisy. I think she's got the 6 games experience. Not a lot, but she knows what it takes now. She knows the pace. And I just think she's going to have a real breakout. And I've heard from some inside sources she's doing very well.
Yeah, right. All right. I'll back those inside sources. I'm gonna back Jess Wrench.
Yeah.
Eagles superstar. She was number 2 draft pick, and she's had some hamstring issues in preseason already, but got to see her for a half against St Kilda, and she was electric. So I can't wait to see what she does with some more game time under her belt. I agree, the Daisy factor as well. I think she'll really thrive. And Emma Swanson, we talked about her as well. What an amazing captain. She's almost like an extra coach out there on the field.
Yeah.
So looking forward to see her take her opportunities this season. But really, this is the best part of the season. It's like everything's laid out in front of you.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Like,
Yeah.
you just got to focus on what's in your control. I guess for us, though, it's time for us to cool down. Get ready for
Great
round
segue.
1. I know, right? So round 1 is kicking off this week. West Coast are going to be playing against Richmond here in WA at Mineral Resources Park, 7:15 on Friday the 30th. So get down there. I expect
I'll
to
be
see
there.
you there, Rosie.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I'll be
Good.
there.
And then next up, Freo and St Kilda. They're going to be playing away. That's 1 o'clock Perth time on Saturday the 31st. Some other exciting games of the round. We've got a derby. Do you call it a derby or a derby?
We're Derby.
Okay, we're Derby. Okay, so we've got the Port Adelaide versus Adelaide, the SA Derby. That's going to be happening on Saturday as well. And then finally, there's going to be a grand final rematch. That's the last game of the round. That's happening on Sunday, the 1st of September. So you will be able to see if your Kangaroos are going to live up to expectation this
And they
season,
will.
going up against Brisbane Lions. But we really want to thank you for listening to our very first episode. It's going to be a wild
gonna
ride.
be
I can
good.
tell you already. I'm going to learn some more American things already as
I'd
well.
I'd also like to say, as a closing out, this is as much a journey about the AFLW as it is about me reclaiming my Australian accent.
Excellent.
So come with me on the journey to find my Australianisms again, because they've gone.
Thanks for listening to our very first episode. Remember, you can listen and watch this podcast on YouTube Music. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Don't forget, leave us a rating, leave us a review, tell your mates, tell everyone. We'd love to have you on board. We'd love to hear from you too. Email dubya@wanews.com.au, and we will see you next week as we unpack everything that comes out of round 1.